And if you look at her timeline, and that's the thing that we really wanted to focus on with people who would follow the work that we're doing, we wanted to show sort of the timeline evidence that this was not something that she believed deeply. This was an intentional transformation. Right. When she came under attack because of her doxing site, Social Autopsy, you can call it whatever you want. It was a doxing site. And what she's doing now shows that that was always her heart. The fact that she is regularly trying to dox people and ruin their lives, it shows that that's what was at the heart.
Right.
Candace Owens was doxed by the people she thought she was in community with. And she saw the watering hole where she was like, this is where I'm going to make my life. I'm going to be that boss babe. I'm going to be that CEO. That's degree 180. And she saw all of that crumbling. And keep in mind, in the same year, in 2017, 2016, 2017, in the same year, as Candace Owens is watching sort of like her dreams evaporate right in front of her eyes, she's also being evicted from her apartment that she hadn't paid rent on for the last 6 months. So now she, and later what's going to happen is that she's going to be sued. So she is in dire straits. And if you look, and this is we've got another episode coming out and we'll cover this on that episode. Every time you see Candace Owens in dire straits, she undergoes a transformation. And you can see it. We follow the timeline. You look at what's going on. So you got the degree 180 crumbling because now the people that she was swimming in the water with, they are attacking her. They are actually publicly doxing her. She has been evicted from her apartment and she's like $21,000 in debt. She was in debt when she left college. So then she went to, she's going to make it in Manhattan and all of this. But now she's in dire straits. Turn around. What happens in 2017? She releases her first video coming out as a conservative. She rebranded and she said that. She said that to Dave Rubin. I had to take some time off to rebuild. Read that as I had to rebrand. Move. It was a business move. Yeah. She was in dire straits. We're going to play another clip on a episode that's coming up where she and her husband are looking back on the year and they're talking about how when they left the Daily Wire, what happened? They were in dire straits. Everybody wants to talk about, oh, she's not doing this for the money. She didn't need the money. Her husband with his own mouth will say, because we're looking around and we're like, where's the money come from? And all of these things. She is a performer and she's very good at it. Yeah. And I hate to say this because I understand that she has signed up for this, but her husband has also kind of signed up for this. He is also a performer. Okay. We're going to show some clips again coming up where they are at Liberty University and they're on the stage basically telling this story. So it's this romance that just sort of fell out of the sky. And after 18 days, they get engaged and it's amazing. And the question is going to be asked of George Foreman, like, why would you move to the United States? Well, I'm loving my wife. I'm serving my wife. Well, then fast forward, he's going to say at the time that he met Candace Owens, he was looking for a new business venture.
Sure was.
It's like, wait a minute. So you were looking, so y'all deserve each other. Y'all really deserve each other. And so everything that they're doing is very intentional. Candace has it's calculated. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think you're right on the money. And there's so many little instances like that. I've done a deep dive into their quote unquote marriage. You know that George Farmer just became a U.S. citizen last April. So, how convenient. He found a chick. Again, when you look at the comparison, we got this rich white man from Europe marries this broke black chick from America. Okay, yeah, that perfect, a match made in heaven. Absolutely makes perfect sense. But then when you dig into him wanting a business venture and such of that nature, and her being broke, and the allegations of his sexuality, boy, that sounds like a you write me a check and we'll just be quiet type of scenario. I'm just saying. I mean, has anybody ever seen them together doing anything? That's my point. That's my question.
To your point. And again, the allegations, you would say, okay, we don't want to give much credence to that, except that in 2016, Candace Owens literally wrote an article about straight women settling down and marrying gay men. So that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like when you take those things and you look at them together, you've got, going back to the point that you were making, you've got George Farmer, who has all these failed business ventures. And they want us to believe that George Farmer's parents, who are devout evangelical Christians, you want us to believe that they are okay with Candace Owens and what she's saying and her attack on Jewish people and all of these things. And so look, eventually you mismanage funds, and I don't care how much you start out with, you'll end up with nothing. We are supposed to believe that Candace Owens has rejected the boss babe culture. We're supposed to believe that she's a trad wife making him a sandwich, when out of her husband's own mouth, it's like she is the source of their finances right now. Like she is literally carrying the family. I don't know what man gets on his wife's podcast and talks about, when you left the Daily Wire, we were like, what are we going to do? Like, where's the money going to come from? It's like, wait, what?
Right.
I'm sorry, you're the man, sir. What do you mean? Where's the money going to come from? So he has allowed her and is in full support of what she's doing, because he's watching the ends. He's watching the bag come in. And look, that's a softness for me that I'm just like, come on, like, what are you doing? I believe that Candace Owens has a deep-seated disdain for Black people and Black culture. I believe that. And look, and I'm not saying that what is sinful in any culture gets to stay. You read scripture and you see, look, you and your culture can come in as much as your culture is not an offense to Christ. When your culture becomes an offense to the cross, that has to be shaved off. But for Candace, there has been like this, it's too easy for her to go for the jugular of people when you say you're trying to win them over. She wanted to lead a movement. She wanted to be the most important person in the room all the time. And she was willing to do and say whatever it took for her to get to that place. And she did. She did get to that place.
I'm right there with you. One of the things I tell people, and especially looking at, and I stopped watching Candace when she started the Erica series, and I just do like a little recap, and we've moved on from her. But one of the things is I say, hey, I'm going to go on a limb and say about 96% of the stuff that Candace says is projection. So if she says something about somebody, look that way at her. Like look in her closet. If she says somebody's lying, or hold on, let me bring it up. I haven't brought this up in a long time. I know people when she says this.
But I don't like little lies. When there is one lie, there's 20.
Then guess what? There's 20 of them back there. Go look behind her. There's 20. So even the idea that I do think Candace Owens has some internal problems, internal and eternal problems that maybe started in high school. Maybe it went even further back than that. A lot of people talk about she's a narcissist, and I'm not trying to make any kind of declaration on her situation, but there's that thing called the narcissistic injury that they always seem to go back to. It does seem like she goes back to that high school thing quite a bit. Like, is that everybody keeps saying mean girl, high school, blah, blah, blah. Why does her behavior act like that? Maybe y'all need to go back and look at something that happened during high school. I'm just saying, because it does seem like she does seem to come across as that. So when we say things like she does come across like she doesn't like who she is and doesn't like who she's come from and such of that nature, look at it and tell me where the lie is. Like, where is the lie? And so I really like the way that you said that, and I appreciate it. Do you feel, as you were talking about conservative movement, and I've had a little bit of conversation back and forth about this, I don't feel that conservatism at its very base level is anything more than just basic common sense. A man and a woman, they get together to have little humans, and the little humans grow. I mean, it's really that simple. Will is always going to be a man. Miki's always going to be a woman. That's common sense. You don't spend more than you make. I mean, some basic conservative values are just common sense. I do believe that that's how Candace got into the conservative movement, because she said things that were basic common sense, and things that everybody can say, yeah, I agree to that. But she herself was not, her conservatism wasn't informed by the scriptures. It's not more to the scriptures, because there's no way I would have somebody on saying that Protestantism is demonic. Hold on, wait. Hold on, my guy. Let's stop the cameras. We got to figure this out. We're gonna have a conversation, because I'm not gonna key that away in any way, shape, or form. But she's never been informed, and I do believe that she's always been a new ager. She was praying to the universe when Charlie Kirk met her. She's still talking about the same stuff now today. So what changed? Nothing. Just the calendar. Just the calendar. So do you all agree, or how do you feel about conservatism at its base form as being common sense, natural law, if you will? And then from there, but it has to be tied to something, and that something being eternal, being Christ. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think it is common sense. But it's funny. I never called myself conservative until we moved here in Mississippi, and we were working with the organization, because really I wasn't really into politics and things like that. But when they started to lay out what being conservative was, I was like, well, I believe that, and I saw that it lined up for me with my biblical beliefs. Like, it was like, okay, yeah, definitely. I don't tend to call myself that too much anymore, because conservatism has changed so much, to where they have this big tent and they allowed all kinds of stuff to come in, especially on the social issues. And I'm like, nah, just call me a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ,
Right.
But I think with Candace, I don't think she was ever conservative.
I agree.
I think she learned what she needed to learn
Very
to
quickly.
be able to benefit from it.
Yes.
Because if you look back in her life, you'll see that, man, quickly she was able to just kind of learn some things. I think she may have picked up some Thomas Sowell's books and some different things, and she's smart. So she was able to learn that stuff and to spit it out. She has a gift for communication. And so I don't really believe that she was ever really conservative. And I also think, like, now what we're seeing is her kind of shifting back to what she was before.
Yeah.
Because that's beneficial now. It was beneficial for her to be conservative if she was going to work for Turning Point USA, if she was going to work for PragerU, Daily Wire. That she needed to be that. But now she's on her own. She's quote unquote sovereign. She's able to do what she want to do. And I feel like you see exactly where she's going and what she's always had in her. And so I never was convinced that she, was the strong conservative. Nevertheless, like, not even a Christian conservative,
Right.
But I think she really knows how to play a role.
Yes.
And she played that role to her benefit.
I know you liked that episode. This is actually a clip from a larger live stream. The link is down in the description, so you can go check it out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you down there. Grace and peace.